Hey everyone, welcome back. It's William Xavier, and we're continuing on with the Caribbean Cruise album that I'm working on. So welcome back, and we're going to be putting together the next 2 pages, which are a combination of sunset pictures that I took from the ship. As you can see, how can we pass up putting some of these in, that's upside down, to the album, and of course there's my shining face. So this will be a 2-page spread, and I'm gonna actually use the October 2025 CM Virtual Crop Sketch number 2, because I really liked the idea of the sunsets with this vertical pattern of the paper strips. And then when I was looking for papers that would best fit that, I came across the Rainbow Gradient pack, which was part of a promo this past year, or 2025, I believe. And I really liked this print that just really, to me, reads sunsets. So I decided to use that one. And of course, continuing with the ripped paper motif that I'm doing throughout the whole album, I already prepped the one side for us so that we can have an idea of what we're going to be doing. So we're ripping on both the top, bottom, and the sides, the three different sizes, and then adhering to inking the sides, and then adhering to our base page. And then we'll add our pictures afterwards. Excuse me. My voice is still waking up. So I've already got a couple of strips ripped. So I'm gonna show how I did this one, because I did not use the ripping tool for this one. Instead, I'm just using a straight edge, probably aluminum, but it's a metal ruler, and my multi-purpose tool to score and then tear. So all I've been doing, right, once I did rip off a small sliver on the straight edge side, to then have that ripped edge, and I bring that ripped edge over to the line on my cutting mat. Now these strips are 2 inches wide. I'm shortening them a bit. I'm actually going to go to 1 5/3, I believe. So it's on the cutting mat, it's that first notch after the 1.5 inch is where I'm lining up my ruler. Just because I didn't want I just didn't want really thick strips of paper behind the photos. I wanted it just thick enough to still give that impression, but not be too much and overwhelm the pictures a bit. So, because I got a lot going on with the ripped paper piece, so I didn't want really big ones, and I still wanted to have a lot more of the base paper, that Spargo, come through. So that's why I decided to shorten the strips a little bit. So again, I just lined up my ruler. I'm coming in with my multi-purpose tool, and I'm just kind of scoring along that ruler edge. I noticed that this particular paper, it might be the whole pack, I didn't check, seems a little bit thicker than the other designer papers. So I've just had to take use a little bit more, I don't want to say force, but I have to be a little bit more forceful with it. And so it's similar technique. I'm just going to start my rip. I'm just pulling up and to the right to start that off, and then I'm just coming along just like the tearing tool. This works very, very similarly. And I will get a more straight type of rip. And do one more because we need 5 strips per page. And I had 3 already to go. So I just need 1 more here. So again, line up my ruler, get my multi-purpose tool, score along the edge a few times, just because this is a thicker paper, so I'm going to do it a few more times. The regular designer paper, you probably just need to do it maybe once or twice to get a good kind of score ready for yourself there. And then again, lift up and over, whichever side you're working from. I'm going left to right. And I'm just going little section by little section to get my rip. And so because I shortened my strips, you know, I am now left with around, you know, around a 7 1/8 inch piece still, and so I can still use this somewhere else in a different album or whatnot, or if I want to use the other side. And if I don't want that ripped, I can just trim off that 1/8, and then I'll have a 7 by 12 inch scrap of paper that is a really good size at times. So good. So then I'm going to take my strips, I'm going to get my rich cocoa ink, and I'm going to ink the sides only first because I'm going to rip the top and the bottom, so I don't really want to ink those yet. I'm going to ink them after I've ripped them. And I'm just giving a light, just a light inking on them. Nothing overly bold, but if you want that look, definitely go for that. I want it just enough that you can see there's a little extra definition to it off the page. Especially like the lighter parts. You know, and because they're ripped, you know, you're not going to be able to smoothly run the ink pad across like you can with a straight edge. So you have to find, you know, kind of what motion works best to get the ink on the edge. So that's probably why you might notice why I'm inking in very odd ways along the edge here. It's just what I found will work for this type of rip on this paper, to get the ink there. Okay. I have put that aside for a minute. Check back on our sketch. I'm going to need 2 strips that are 9.5 inches long, and 2 that are 10.5 inches long, and then 1 that is 11.5 inches long. So I'm going to start from the outside in. I'm going to get my 2 9.5 inches, and I'm just going to do them at once at the same time. So again, I'm just thinking overall, I do want them to be somewhat uniform in terms of, you know, top and bottom. You know, we have got this really rich, you know, pumpkin, dark orange, all the way down to this really nice, deep, dark navy blue. So I want to balance them so that I'm not just, you know, coming in at, you know, my 9.5 inches strips and I'm losing all of that nice blue. I want to kind of, at both the top and bottom, I want to have a nice, somewhat even, you know, we can see the first page even, you know, it touches that pumpkin tone and it touches that navy tone all across. So I'm gonna have to rip a little from the top and the bottom, or as we're looking at it, the right and the left. So this is where it just might take a little bit of, you know, stop, think before we do much of anything. So with 9.5 inches, right, I'm going to come in from the top, or the right side. I'm going to come in a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to line my ruler up at that 1/2 inch line. Get my multi-purpose tool. Score these a little bit. And then I'm going to lift up and towards the left to rip these off there. Okay, so I've already got a 1/2 inch off. If I want, I can move these over if that makes it easier for myself. Then along the bottom here, right, here's my 9.5 inch mark, but I've already taken off a 1/2 inch. So I just need to come in at my 2 inch mark. I'm just going to double check that. Nope, sorry. Because I want 9.5, so yeah, I'm still, okay, yes. Scratch that. 9.5. The left side, I'm going to come in at that 9.5 inch mark. I'm actually going to go over about 1/8 of an inch, so a 5/8 mark, just to give it a little extra of that blue, because yeah. So I feel like I will actually want to come in yeah. I think I'm actually going to push this to 9 3/4. I want to get more of that blue in there. Okay, then I'll ink my top and my bottom. those aside. Next up, get the next two strips. I need 10.5. So again, I'm gonna line these up. And on this one, I'm gonna just take a quarter inch off the right side, so the orange top part. Because it's a gradient paper, so I'm trying to keep that gradient going across the top and bottom. Okay. So taking a quarter off. So then our 10.5 inch mark, still here, 10.5 inches. So again, I might push that to 10 3/4, sorry. 10 3/4, to kind of keep some of that blue going for us. Okay. And then the last strip, we need 11.5. So this will be really easy because we're just going to take a quarter off the right and the left, or the top and the bottom, and that'll give us our half. Alright, get our ink and ink the top and bottom of these 3 strips. All right, and we're good to go with that. Then get your base page. Okay. And what I already know I need to do, I need to put the 11.5 inch strip smack in the middle. So I'm just going to get some adhesive on here. And here's get my page lined up correctly. Okay, here's my 6-inch mark. I'm going to get that in there as best as possible. Around the middle part. The middle of the strip. Okay. Okay, now these are my 10.5 inches, so these will go next. And then my 9 3/4 will go in so. right? I'm just kind of dry fitting, looking at my spacing right now. But essentially, right, since I got my middle strip, right, I'm gonna line up my 10.5 inch strips, 2 inches out, so at the 4 and 8 mark, and then my 9 3/4 will be at 2 inches from there, so at the 2 and 10 marks. And so I can just kind of start adhering. And if I need to, I can take my ruler, I can just lay it across the top there, right? So that I can then line this up at the top. So that I know I am there, or, if I want to just eyeball it, I can also do that. Maybe comes up a little bit more. Come over a bit. About right. Okay. Go over my strips, make sure I got them adhered. These scraps out of the way. Okay, so now I'm ready for my photo placement. I'm still debating on a title, surprise, surprise. So I'm going to place my photos so that I know where I'm going to put my title. And I'm thinking the title's probably going to span across both pages. So, it's okay. So looking back at our sketch, right, we have a nice, horizontal 4x6, vertical 4x6. And then we, have a 4x3 and a 4x4 3/4 with a decorative edge on the mat or under the mat. So that's a nice piece where, if you have a nice edge punch that you want to use, it can be your mat along the edge, or if you have a coordinating kind of color scheme going and you want to put an edged punch piece, that would be at the 8-inch length. That would also look nice too. I tried that, and just the sizing of my photos, not necessarily gonna work, so I'm gonna omit that part. So I've got and I'm trying not to cover up completely the tops and bottoms of the strips. And then with these three, right, I've got a nice, these are all different spots in the Caribbean, but I like how it turned out that I can put them together to kind of give that aspect of the sunset kind of happening in almost real time. And so I'm gonna go for that type of placement. So that way my title, I'll probably bring this down a little bit, and my title will start here and move here. So I've got space here, here. I've even got a little space here because I can even, you know, play with this a little bit and move these slightly over more to get some more room here if I need it for my title. Again, I'm trying not to fully, you know, cover too much of the papers. But, so once I've got that, oops, look at that, dropping everything now. So once I got that all squared away, I'm gonna start adhering my photos. Or I might even, I might put start the title here, and it will come over here. Which I kind of might like that aspect too, because the title is going to be in the pumpkin cardstock, and I'll probably ink it a bit to give it a little extra definition, just like I inked the edges of the white cardstock and the pumpkin in that rich cocoa, just to kind of give them a little extra dimension. And this was a really nice change for me because I don't often use oranges in my layout, my page designs. So it was kind of nice to be able to kind of tap into that color for these. I don't want anything on there. we go. And like I have mentioned in other videos, right, once I'll have my title on there, I will eventually go back and kind of look at, does it need any more embellishments or not, and look at what I have, because I just don't tend to pull those in a lot as I'm thinking through the pages. So I'm really bad at using stickers and embellishments right away. I usually have to go back and look through everything and see kind of what, if anything, the page might still need, or what to add to further enhance it. So here we go. We got Sunsets on the Caribbean. That might be my title, actually. So I'm really happy with how these turned out. I think the paper really does help pull in more of that, you know, sunset vibe and feel that makes just the pictures even more, I don't know, interesting and amazing to just look at and see those really awesome colors that nature gives us. So hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. And if you need anything, definitely feel free to reach out to myself, your favorite advisor. We're always happy to help with whatever you need, whether that's supplies or tips or tricks or suggestions or advice. Feel free to reach out. And looking forward to the next one. We're going to actually be moving into the next port of call, which was Jamaica. So I still have to kind of figure out my title page for Jamaica, but that's next on the docket. So hope you tune in to catch that. And as always, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and happy scrapping.